They are Putin's so-called secret army. Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner mercenaries have fought a series of deniable campaigns across the Middle East, Africa and Ukraine. Now he's sending thousands of them to die in a seemingly pointless attempt to retake a town in eastern Ukraine. It could be part of a Kremlin power grab as he allies with Chechen warlord Ramzan Kadyrov in an apparent attempt to oust Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. This is the story of the man known as Putin's chef and what his battle for the town of Bakhmut is all about. Across Ukraine, Russian forces are in retreat, with Kiev thought to be on the verge of retaking the city of Kherson. But there is one town where the Russians are still trying to advance. Bakhmut, which had a population of 70,000 before the war, has been under relentless assault for weeks, and orchestrating this assault is Yevgeny Prigozhin and his Wagner mercenaries. Months of fighting since May have turned its suburbs into a cratered moonscape. But why? The town isn't strategically significant. Retaking it would put a small dent in Ukrainian lines. As far as we can tell, the desperate assault is part of an attempt to give Prigozhin and Putin a propaganda victory, as well as handing Prigozhin more power in the Kremlin. The Wagner chief has made more public appearances as this assault grinds on. His son was interviewed by a Russian journalist at the front a few weeks ago. And Russian propaganda telegram channels have been praising the skill of Wagner forces. But Ukrainians say Prigozhin's troops are being deployed as cannon fodder in doomed frontal assaults. One video recently released by Ukraine showed a Wagner soldier praying while under devastating artillery fire. In an attempt to replenish his ranks and give himself more publicity, Prigozhin has toured prisons, offering inmates amnesty in return for joining Wagner. The group already has a nasty reputation for war crimes, and his terms are simple. If you serve 6 months, you are free, Prigozhin tells the prisoners. If you arrive in Ukraine and decide it's not for you, we will kill you. He says Wagner fighters are also expected to kill themselves with a hand grenade if they are captured. Prisons are a natural recruiting ground for Prigozhin, who himself spent 10 years in a Soviet jail for strangling a woman and stealing her boots and earrings on the streets of St. Petersburg. When he emerged from prison in 1990, the Soviet Union was collapsing and Prigozhin went into business. He claims to have made $1,000 a month selling hot dogs at the St. Petersburg market, the same town where Vladimir Putin's rise to power began. 12 years later, he was pictured serving Putin and George W. Bush dinner, earning him the nickname of Putin's chef. Since then, he has made a fortune from government catering contracts as well as through Wagner. Now, as the war in Ukraine goes increasingly badly, it looks like Prigozhin could be positioning for even more power. Last month, he and Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov criticised the Russian general staff for the collapse of the Russian front in eastern Ukraine. Prigozhin called the generals responsible punks and said they should be shipped to the front barefoot with machine guns. At the end of September, he released a video on social media publicly admitting that he was the founder of Wagner after years of denials. He said he was proud of his fighters for defending Russian interests. Now, he is believed to have played a key role in the appointment of General Armageddon Sergei Surovikin as head of the Russian campaign in Ukraine. He also has an intense rivalry with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, who is looking increasingly vulnerable as the Russian campaign lurches into disaster. Putin secretly awarded Prigozhin the honour of Hero of the Soviet Union over the summer. At the same time, Prigozhin has formed a cult around Wagner among Russian nationalists. The mercenaries are showered with praise by hardliners online, with memes heavily featuring a sledgehammer, a reference to a Syrian fighter who was allegedly bludgeoned to death with a sledgehammer by Wagner fighters. As the war goes from bad to worse for Putin, Prigozhin is one of the very few people having a good war. If Putin were to face an attempted coup, the Wagner chief could be one of the main beneficiaries. As Bellingcat investigator Christo Grozev has said, Wagnerites tell me they'd vote for him over Putin anytime, and it seems to me he smells blood. Maybe Bakhmut's real strategic value lies 1,000 miles north, in Moscow. If you like this video, don't forget to hit subscribe for more.